A very good evening once again. Welcome to UBC News Night at exactly 10 p.m. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha with Mgalu Mohammed on sign language. Let's take a look at our headlines today. In UBC News tonight, Joshua Cheptegei wins gold in the 5,000 meters in Tokyo. Several UPDF officers retire. In more stories to come, hospitals run low on supply. And international news, China to donate 2 billion COVID-19 vaccines to the world. Back now, in our top stories of the day, Joshua Cheptegei has won gold in the 5,000 meters race in Tokyo. The gold comes after his success in 10,000 race, where he bagged a silver. The joy in KAPCHORWA at Musée Muneria Stevenson Cheptegei's father's home is earth-shattering, as several people flocked to the home to congratulate the win.
It is 30 minutes to the final race of 5,000 meters. Apparently, in KAPCHORWA, Joshua Cheptegei's home, they have started gathering. As you can see, they are entering to watch the race from here. I am privileged to watch the same race with his father. There is no better feeling than having the entire neighborhood gather at your home. Not for an ordinary visit, but rather to cheer your son represent Uganda at a big stage, the Olympics. Joshua Cheptegei, a sounding name in the Sebei region, known and loved by the young and old, eagerly watching the start of the 5,000-meter race with hope that he will triumph. The packed sitting room, one couldn't afford to blink, but rather watch as the race went on. Look closely, that is Joshua Cheptegei's dad. He seems around, but rather his mind far away. His soul dipped in prayer. And when the guys in the room shouted, 2 laps to go, the cheers and orations were on the moon. Go Joshua, you can make it. The children couldn't hold their feet. Joshua Cheptegei is crossing the line as number 1. What else do you expect from a room filled with relatives and friends? That is exactly the sound in your ears. Joshua has just won gold in style. After 5 minutes, congratulatory messages started coming through. Joshua's dad is super excited. It is now official, Joshua Cheptegei is the 5,000 meter gold medalist. I am with his dad. He has been watching the race throughout. Papa, how do you feel after seeing Joshua winning gold?
I feel excited, happy and excited because he has won. He has done it. God has done it. Yeah, exactly. I had some bit of pressure.
Why?
Because I saw the race was very tight.
Yes, I was on pressure.
But then, what happened after?
If I saw that Joshua was the first, I was very happy.
KAPCHORWA is on fire. Joshua's house and that of Musée Muneria Stevenson are a kilometer apart, but the young lad trained vigorously for a month without a visit.
He has been waking up very early in the morning, even at 4. He goes for trainings, and that is why it was not by mistake.
The writing is on the wall. Joshua Cheptegei is the most decorated athlete from Sebei region.
And among so many people that celebrated was the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Museveni, who congratulated Joshua Cheptegei and other Ugandans, that athletes who took part in the 5,000-meter race. In her message, the First Lady said it was edifying to watch Team Uganda make history. Now, she gave glory to God for Uganda's performance at the Olympics so far, and she commended the Olympic champion. In more stories, Vice President Jessica ALUPO has said that there's need to woo farmers close to large commercial firms into outgrowers. The Vice President, who was touring Terra Farms, that is a joint partnership between Indian investors led by Jayesh Patel and the family of Lieutenant General Julius Oketa in Laima Sub-County in Amuru District.
Who and where is the farmer that we are trying to address? Fortunately, we have a book called the Who and Where is the Farmer. We are handing it over to you in our quest for answering the question of who and where is the farmer in the power relations of the agriculture sector.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, retired Major Jessica ALUPO, to give us a few remarks.
We are here, General, to say that our office would like to compliment the work that you are doing on the ground. I know that as a farmer, and all these people seated here are farmers, we recognize the role that OWC has done across the country since it was formed.
Asante sana.
That's why, Professor, we are here to underscore first the successes of OWC, but also to see also, amidst the challenges of COVID-19, how we can move together as an office and address the shocks that may have been occasioned by COVID-19 on those households.
Asante sana.
Still about the Vice President of Uganda, Major Lieutenant Jessica ALUPO yesterday started tours around the country aimed at ascertaining how Uganda can move into middle income status. She kicked off with a call in Gulu to General Caleb Akandwanaho, who is commonly known as Salim Saleh, the overall coordinator of Operation Wealth Creation. She was welcomed at Gulu Military Barracks with a military parade before meeting General Saleh and his team.
I would like to assure you that my coming here means that government is very interested in using your farm as a model farm to benefit the proprietors of the farm, but also the communities around the farm. I am very glad that many of us have noted that you have a good farm like this, but the neighbors there are not copying what is happening here. I want to thank you for the proposal you had made, that let's motivate this by giving seed, the seed which Fande was talking about. That is very rare. Many big farmers don't do that. They would want the farmers even to buy for themselves. But that was a kind gesture from you to work with the government and benefit them. Then the problem is that we now have to work hard to solve the problem of the market. Is it internal market that we are looking for? Is it the regional market? We are all available to give options, give ideas on how we are going to handle that. And in my view, I want to give you confidence that that can be achieved. Because we move from one step of producing volumes, which we did not manage earlier, and now we can also move to the step of finding market.
Asante tena.
I thank the LC1 chairman, first of all, welcoming us in his village and assuring us of the security. Chairman, thank you very much. Because also a long time ago, when we would come here, the item security would be on the agenda. Security was on the agenda. But now, today when I looked at the agenda, the item security is not there. So I would like to thank President Museveni, together with all the UPDF, for ensuring that these meetings that we are now having in Acholi sub-region don't have security as the item. And I want to request all of us to clap for President Museveni for that kindness.
Supply creates its own demand. No. Me and Joketa, we are trying to reverse that. We were trying to say that the demand can also create its own supply. You put up this infrastructure and then it will attract everything to come in place. And I think here we have ably demonstrated it. So I have already given you the copy of this book. It attempts to define what we were thinking with about 12 others. And I know that the message has been given. And I know, like the president has already told us, that he chose you because you listened to him and you follow up.
Moving on from that, a private citizen has dragged a section of Kenyan members of parliament to the East African Court of Justice over statements they made following the botched visit of their Vice President William Ruto to Uganda. Dr. Paul Bamtaze's petition was based on the utterances made by Kenyan members of parliament against the NRM and the government of Uganda.
Wacha nieleze kidogo dakika mbili mambo ya bottom up.
On Tuesday this week, immigration officials at the Wilson Airport in Nairobi blocked Kenyan Vice President William Ruto from flying to Uganda, where he had a private meeting, citing lack of clearance from the head of immigration services. It's alleged that the Vice President William Ruto was to travel with other 7 people, including Oscar Sudi, David Bett, Eric Ruto, Ndidi Nyoro, Benjamin Tayari, Elijah Rono, and Harum Aydin, a Turkish national. Following this incident, a section of Kenyan members of parliament from Orange Democratic Movement, led by Junet Mohammed, called for a presser where they uttered statements tarnishing the image of Uganda and its ruling party National Resistance Movement.
While we do not wish to interfere with internal political arrangements in other countries, we equally want to state very categorically that we do not need to borrow from other countries' political habits.
It is against this backdrop that a concerned Ugandan, Dr. Paul Bamtaze, dragged Kenyan legislators to the East African Court of Justice over statements uttered. Bamtaze, in filing this petition, contends that the statement contravened a number of provisions in the East African Treaty where Kenya and Uganda are signatories.
Him as a member of the National Resistance Movement and as a Ugandan, he feels aggrieved because he finds that he has benefited from this government, and for someone to trash all the achievements of the NRM government would not seem fair to him. And basically they trashed the whole NRM achievements and the government of Uganda, saying
Bamtaze adds that these statements also contravene principles of democracy, good governance, rule of law, accountability, transparency, and the maintenance of universally accepted standards of human rights, among others.
So one cannot cast bad light against a member state with such utterances for members of parliament whom we would believe would show a better example that we are moving towards economic integration.
Through his lawyers, Ovunsuga Case and company advocates, he contends that this was intended to cast bad light to his country's image, as well as the President of the Republic of Uganda, since he is the chairperson of the ruling party NRM.
They really portray Uganda as a country that is not worthy being an example, and yet we all know that Uganda is one of the countries in the East African community that is and has always been pushing for the integration and furtherance of the East African community.
He now wants court to declare that the uttered statements by the Kenyan legislators contravene the several provisions in the East African Community Protocol and also be condemned to pay costs.
Were unlawful, were illegal, and against principles of mutual cooperation, good governance and democracy.
Recently, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Okello Oryem, in a press statement, dismissed allegations that Uganda is interfering in Kenyan affairs and that they had not made any arrangements to host Kenyan Vice President William Ruto. This case is also filed against the Kenyan Attorney General, the petition which was received by the East African Court of Justice on Friday afternoon. Other legislators dragged to court include John Mbadi, Opio, Wanda Ikareb, Amis, Jared Okello, Anthony Otieni, Fatuma Abdi, and Millie Odiambo. Nantongo Rebecca, Namamonde Deborah, UBC News.
In more news, the Command of Special Forces Command, SFC Brigadier General Peter Kandia, has thanked the Commander-in-Chief Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for professionalizing UPDF. Brigadier Chandia was speaking at a ceremony where Special Forces Command retired 30 officers from active service. The ceremony took place at Entebbe.
30 Special Forces Command personnel, consisting of 3 at the rank of Major, 1 Lieutenant, 23 warrant officers and 1 corporal, have been retired at Special Forces Command Headquarters in Entebbe.
Major Stephen Mande served for a total of 36 years and 23 days.
Presiding over the exercise, the SFC Commander Brigadier General Peter Chandia congratulated the retirees for successfully completing their assignments with distinction.
Today is a memorable day that we are seeing of our colleagues who are part of the people who have made SFC what it is today. Right from PPU, PGB to the command now. Retirement is one of the major life milestones that marks the ending of a chapter and the start of another. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate you and wish you all the success in your new journey of life.
Chandia asked the retirees to take advantage of government programs as well as teamwork with former retirees so as to learn from their gains and avoid committing mistakes. Speaking on behalf of other retirees, Major Stephen Mande urged colleagues to remain loyal, disciplined and be good ambassadors of SFC. On average, the retired soldiers have each served for 28 years.
Some of us joined SFC when it was PPU. By then, we were younger people. Like myself, I joined PPU in 1988 when I was young at the rank of corporal. But because of good leadership, we were able to grow and become a senior officer. Retirement is part of life and everywhere, not only UPDF.
The function was attended by, among others, Kano Moses Simpora, Kano Mugisha, Kano Nabimanya, Kano Jebi Asinguza, Kano Gilbert Wamajezi, Kano Namawa, and Kano Emmanuel Dong.
This country is what it is because you made it possible for it. You brought peace. You brought peace. Thank you very much.
Others were commanding officers, commandants, militants, and spouses of the retirees. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Still about retiring, Uganda People's Defence Forces have retired a number of officers in the 2nd and 3rd Division. During functions in the districts of Mbara, Masaka and Bale, the retirees were advised to continue exhibiting discipline, patience and commitment. Details follow.
A number of officers and men of Uganda People's Defence Forces have been retired from active service during functions held in different parts of the country.
RO 07125
At Makenke Army Barracks 2nd Division in Mbarara, 58 soldiers have been retired. The commanding officer of UPDF 2nd Division Mbarara, Major General Takirwa Francis, who presided over the function, advised the retirees to continue exhibiting discipline, patience and commitment as per their values.
It's up to them. If they think they have retired to go and misbehave, the society will tell them. Because here we've been trying our best to ensure that everybody lives a normal way.
The retirees comprised of 5 senior officers, 1 junior officer, and 52 others of different ranks. The function was witnessed by the Deputy Resident City Commissioner Mbarara Aine Christopher, Mbarara District Chairperson Tabaro Didas, among others. In Mbale, a similar number of officers attached to 3rd Division have been retired from active service. Speaking at a function held in Mbumagani Barracks in Mbale District, the 3rd Division Assistant Commander Brigadier Sake Okolong cautioned the retirees against deviating from their core values.
The core value of UPDF is discipline. And indeed, we have been able to achieve all the milestones as a result of entrance discipline.
Okolong as representing Brigadier Joseph Bali Kudembe. Brigadier General Saki Okolong commended the retirees for their tireless service to the force and urged them to continue building on the firm foundation of the UPDF.
You have been for many years operating in different community settings, and you are going to venture into a new terrain full of new demands. But you should remain steadfast and nothing short of that.
Mbale District Vice Chairperson Tone Wamagale also urged retirees to remain focused as they join the civilian life and desist from actions that would defame their earned integrity.
Our retirees, I want to say that you have started a new journey. And the journey you have started, you have to be focused. Because they are saying you have retired. But for my belief that you have retired, but you are not tired.
A number of soldiers in Masaka were also retired at a colourful function held at Kasagirwa Mechanized Brigade.
Mbadde mbakutira no kubajjukiza nti no bwe baba bagenze wali ebintu bingi bye bakoze mu UPDF, mulimu disciplines z'enjawulo ze bayize mu UPDF, omuli discipline ya bulijjo, discipline empisa ze bayize.
Now, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Okello Oryem, says that the controversial blogger, Fred LUMBUYE, will be charged with inciting violence and defamation on arrival in Uganda this Saturday morning. LUMBUYE, who has been deported from Turkey, is accused of spreading fake news in Uganda and illegal stay in Turkey. He was arrested early this week by the Turkish police.
I'd like to give you information of public interest that LUMBUYE is in custody of the Turkish authorities with some other Ugandans, and they have been charged with several crimes they have committed or offenses that the Turkish authorities have preferred, including breach of immigration regulations and rules. They will be deported, or they already been deported, and they are en route to Uganda, where they will be in Uganda probably in the early hours of tomorrow morning. I wanted to take this opportunity to assure the family and friends and those who have been following this story closely that LUMBUYE, on arrival with his other accomplices, will be received by the authorities, the relevant authorities, and they will be questioned by relevant authorities of the various offenses that they have committed, and some of them have a direct implication in Uganda. I'd like to assure you that they will then be brought before the court of law after being interviewed and after statements being received from them. They will be before the court of law, and the events will then take its course as to charges on them by the DPP. One thing I'd like to inform Ugandans that I have read so much and seen so much hysteria in the social media that if you were brought to Uganda, you might be mistreated and executed. I'd like to assure everybody categorically that LUMBUYE and others who will come to Uganda will be given cordial treatment. There will be no mishandling of these individuals. There will be no torture, no mistreatment, and no harm will come against them, and no breach of their human rights as such. He will not be hung, as others said, he will be hung. He will not be executed against a tree, as others said, he will be executed against a tree. No, none of those will happen. I think those are alarmists and forces of evil who have been circulating those things on the social media. Suffice to say that on arrival they will be received by the relevant authorities and the due course of the law will take its place. Wish you guys well.
Well, he'll be brought in Saturday morning. You can always keep up with UBC to let you know more about LUMBUYE and what's going to happen to him. Now, a section of National Resistance Movement cadres led by a one-job Richard Matua have expressed gratitude to President Yoweri Museveni for his war against corruption. Recently, President Yoweri Museveni directed the head State House Anti-Corruption Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalima, to arrest all officials who were allegedly involved in the purchase of substandard relief items at the office of the Prime Minister. They proposed that all the 9 OPM officials who were implicated be brought to book, saying it is the only way the vice will be stamped out for good.
When River Nyamwamba burst its banks and caused havoc, including displacing residents, government swung in to rescue and resettle affected victims. However, hell broke loose when the items were found unbefitting, substandard and not good enough for human consumption by Prime Minister Robina Nabanja, who had paid a visit to the victims.
What you don't want to use, you should never give to a colleague. I doubt whether all of us here have a blanket like what they provided here.
This also attracted the attention of the president, who directed the State House Anti-Corruption Unit to weigh in. It is this heightened war against graft that a section of NRM cadres, led by Job Richard Matua, described as a step in the right direction.
Mr. President, sir, we therefore appreciate your effort. Webale munonga. Webale munonga munonga, asanteni sana, Bwana Mukuba. Our default ambo midi, Mungu matemibe. God protects you every time.
The team, however, suggests that this kind of housekeeping be propagated to other government ministries, departments and agencies to weed out what they describe as mafias.
They are the mafia, the Kaukumid are there. The same mafia are also disturbing the Ministry of Health officials, the ministers, the permanent secretary, being targeted unfairly without any empirical evidence of any offense, if at all they claim they have committed any offense. We therefore request you to also not pay blind eyes on the other department, also support officials in the Ministry of Health, officials like in the Ministry of Energy, where criminals have a lot of interest. Mr. President, sir.
They all unanimously proposed that Parliament should render support to the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja in her endeavors for desired results.
Grant a motion that should thank the Prime Minister so far for the courage, resilience and the zeal that she has exhibited in the fight against corruption in about 100 days. There are less than 100 actually, of her takeover of office. That way, we will motivate her, keep her on track, and encourage other ministers in government to take the route that she has chosen to take.
Meanwhile, the team is not amused with the recent comments made by some Kenyan politicians, seemingly watering down the NRM legacy in as far as promotion of democracy is concerned.
In the spirit of East African community, I am appealing to you, immediately cease the fire, immediately stop attacking NRM or government of Uganda or our president going forward.
Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Authorities at Uganda Blood Transfusion Services have disclosed that there is a blood shortage in hospitals. This follows a drop in blood collection capacity as a result of the just-ended lockdown. They're now calling upon government to equip them with new cars to reach out to the population. Details follow.
Major Aaron is a resident of Seta in Mukono district, has been donating blood for the last 3 years.
I was supposed to come here in May, come back just because of the COVID, whatever pandemic. I was so scared of coming this side, so I had to come today.
The 34-year-old says his first time to donate blood was in 2018 after he had escorted the hospital league to hospital and has since become a regular donor.
So from that time I was like, okay, that's when I gained the zeal of donating blood. And probably I had the call from, I always hear, I listen to radio stations and guys from blood bank always requesting people to donate blood.
Aaron is among the patriotic Ugandans who frequent the place when called upon to donate blood.
I have that spirit of donating blood. It's not bad. It doesn't have any effect at all.
Contacting former blood donors is a new strategy adopted by Uganda Blood Transfusion Services when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country.
The corporates, and we even thank those donors who have endeavored to come and donate blood whenever they are called upon. We had to devise new ways of working. We set up a call center. We are sending SMS messages. We are visiting small communities. And in this way, we are trying to make sure that we get blood.
The director, Uganda Blood Transfusion Services, Dr. Dorothy Cheyune Byabazaire, told the media that they have had a 16% drop in collection capacity, leading to blood shortage.
Between April 2020 to February 2021, we have been able to collect 344,000 units. So, but if you compare to the same period pre-COVID, we collected 443 units, giving a 16% COVID-19 impact.
She says the problem has been escalating by insufficient resources to transport their staff to the field, calling upon government to come to the aid.
Most of these vehicles were programmed in 2005. We wanted to approach the national COVID task force to give us some of those Land Rover, those pickups, if we could use them to be able to go out to the field and collect blood. But we really have a very, very big challenge.
According to authorities, the major blood donors are students, but with the schools and institutions closed, the supply has also gone down.
Now, children are failing to adapt to online lessons. The Executive Director, Uganda National Consumers Organization, Robina Katiritimba, says that the online lessons benefit mainly those in urban areas, leaving many out of the system. Kai has more details on this report.
The outbreak of COVID-19 has retarded the education system, leaving many children subjecting to aggressive marketing. This has been disclosed by the Executive Director, Uganda National Consumers Organization, Robina Katiritimba, who also proposed for a mass vaccination of Ugandans against COVID-19.
If we are going to prepare for children to go to school, we need to be looking at immunization now. But we also know that many parents are not even immunized. They are not even, they don't support immunization. So work to promote immunization should be happening now. But also, most importantly, for a long-term strategy, we need to have these children in school. We need to have children in school, and now we are thinking about learning that is not physically in the classroom.
Robina Katiritimba says parents have been left with the responsibility of parenting their children, which needs a lot of financial muscle, hence subjecting their children to child labor.
And the government promised that we would have radios for children to learn. We have not seen those radios, we have not seen the TVs. And children have lost, now I think they are going to lose 2 years altogether. And if you lose 2 years and others have had 2 years, that means that the 2 years for you are erased. So that, of course, there are other health matters like children who live in slums, they don't have water, they don't have a place to be, and this is one of the things that we need to really be looking at.
Uganda National Consumers Organization conducted a mini survey about children in the lockdown and discovered that children are psychologically stressed.
The Constitution, of course, says children are entitled to favorable conditions to education. This, of course, has been violated by various schools adopting online teaching without favorable conditions, say like internet being provided or enabling gadgets, say like smartphones or computers. And that means there are many children who are left out because of trying to adopt to digital migration in education.
Talibita says Parenting has become more challenging because of the social welfare despite the stimulus package for the underprivileged from government.
Parenting has become very challenging because of the social welfare, and I think the times of COVID require of parents to have a lot of resources, a lot of financial muscle to enable them to even ensure the right to food or healthy food of their children is upheld. Government has come up with a relief aid, food aid, financial aid, or a stimulus package to look at or try to cushion the most vulnerable people. And of course, we all know that that financial contribution from government is not sustainable.
Prosecuting places where young children are being subjected to child labor has been emphasized, and the public asked to tip such cases to the relevant authority. There is an increase in early marriages and pregnancies among school children, an issue that might lead to dropout.
Is the toll-free lines that we have for reporting these violation cases. Sometimes people call and nobody is there to pick. Some of them are even not active. So we call upon government to activate these toll-free lines and let there be people who will receive the calls and they'll quickly take action.
Government has been urged to put in place enabling mechanisms to enable children go back to school with funding of remand homes. Sudat Kaye, Robert Bwaita, UBC News.
Well, thank you so much, Sudat Kai and Robert White, for that story on children and what is happening today. Now we'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more news in business.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go. MTN.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Now, in more news, parliamentarians must lead by example by being tax compliant. This appeal has been made by the top government officials at the URA tax hub at the parliament that has been going on for a week. URA seeks to boost compliance and rely on the legislators to push for its business formalization agenda in the grassroots.
Taxpayer sensitization initiative of the members of parliament is expected to go a long way in helping in the formalization of businesses and also boosting tax compliance.
So what we've been here doing is to make sure that we
we enlist members of parliament to ensure that they are part and parcel of the value chain to educate and formalize businesses within their constituencies. And we are happy that most of them are willing to extend this information to their constituency members to educate them why they have to be compliant and why they have to formalize business.
By virtue of being leaders, parliamentarians are key stakeholders in domestic revenue mobilization, especially in the grassroots. In a week at Parliament, URA staff attended to about 250 members of Parliament. Some visited the tax hub for advisory services, whereas others for team registration.
It's very, very important that as legislators, URA takes us through some of the aspects of the taxation laws, especially those ones which the public is always appealing, saying, no, here you're overtaxing, here you're doing what, when they simplify it for you, for around, example, around rental tax, around e-invoicing, the receipts, where we are getting very many problems with the private sector.
Taxation is a complex matter, and so they need to fine-tune their understanding from different professions to be able to appreciate taxation and tax policy.
The Finance Minister, Matia Kasaija, lauded the drive and committed to support the revenue body in its quest of socially and economically transforming the country.
And whenever an opportunity comes for you to pay your tax, please pay it willingly. Willingly. Now, the problem, and let me say this, some people at times misuse the money you give us. And that's what I think also annoys the taxpayers.
URA has in the recent weeks rolled out a 360 degrees taxpayer education approach tailored and focused on key sectors and customized to the needs of the communities. Uganda Revenue Authority had planned for a 2-week tax sensitization drive for parliamentarians and parliament staff. However, a 2-week recess has prompted a postponement to a later date. Dennis Igor for UBC Business.
Still in business, government is yet to consider the proposal of declaring rent arrears as loss in order to address the outcry of rental arrears accrued by tenants in arcades, shopping malls and business centres. Francis Mwebesa, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, has told the Parliamentary Committee on Trade that the ministry has engaged with the landlords on waiving of arrears for July 2021. The members of parliament sitting on the committee chaired by Mwine Mpaka questioned the procedures of allocating the proposed 20 billion Ugandan shillings stimulus package to aid the traders in MSME.
Micro and small.
The Minister for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Fred Mwebesa, has told Parliament that government stimulus intervention measures to recapitalize Uganda Development Bank has enabled the country to grow at a rate of 0.8% in financial year 2020-2021. Mwebesa, who led officials from the Trade Ministry to the Parliamentary Committee on Trade, chaired by Mwine Mpaka, praised the manufacturing sector for the enormous contributions which has witnessed more production of essential products. Addressing to Parliament the concerns of the business community, Mwebesa assured the legislators of a plan to consider the landlord's proposal to declare rent arrears as loss after engagement with the landlords on waiving of arrears for July 2021.
Is there a possibility that maybe if we ever have another lockdown, that these fees could be waived off during that particular time of the lockdown?
The legislators questioned the procedures of implementing the current 200 billion stimulus package after the Uganda Development Bank was faulted by the 10th Parliament on the previous mishandling of COVID-19 relief package.
Because when you go up country, they'll say, no, it is only Kampala. It's only Kampala getting funding or money or support. Now, I wanted to know whether other regions have also been included. You had an engagement with them regarding this funding.
Because we have seen that you put money, again, it is only rich people who can access this money. The SMEs do not access this money. And yet, as the Minister of Trade, really, your major area is the SMs, because the others are few.
UDB is a development bank. And really, this government of ours and yourselves, it does not cater for, it should not cater for small people, investors, but it should cater for, cater for industrial growth and but it's not under our docket at the moment. You get what I'm saying?
Earlier, the Minister of Finance Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, also appeared before the Trade Committee, which addressed to him corruption allegations in accessing funds from UDB. Kasaija promised to investigate the matter.
So for anybody to simply work on UDB and thinks that they will give him money just like because he has made an application, you have to be assessed. They must come and visit your place.
Kasaija also opposed the proposal to waive off the recent taxes passed by Parliament, including the 12% on data and the rental income tax, among others, saying government is committed to recovering the economy. Daniel Mugoya and Gloria Guita BNG, UBC News.
Well, thank you so much. Now we'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that break. Now, most passengers traveling by vehicles plying roads leading out of Kampala city have deserted taxis and queued up to use Pioneer buses since transport fares are affordable. They, however, decry mistreatment by security during curfew hours, saying they should be considerate because it's not their fault but transport challenges.
There was less traffic congestion in Kampala Central Business District this Friday, even as opposed to the days immediately after the lifting of the lockdown. Vehicles at City Square were loading normally. Travelers, however, want police and the army to handle them well, considering that they are aware of transport challenges.
It depends on the jam on the way. Sometimes you can go up to 9 when the buses haven't come because of the jam. But if they come a bit early, we leave very early, especially the military and the police. If somebody is in the queue here, it means he has no other means. He wants to go home. So breaking curfew time is not our wish, but we find it a little bit challenging that we want to go home, and yet the transport is very few. Sorry, the transport is very high compared to other services. So that's
the jam that we meet on the way. It is, by the time you reach to your destination, it's already past time of curfew. So there's no way you can explain to these guys like, I've been in a jam, I've been what, they just scan you up, they don't listen to you. But others, if they could change on that and they give us, maybe they can understand us, or maybe they
are fully interested in tax. My tax in Tono, the pay men. The pioneer, wow, what wow. The borders and universe quad.
Ogenda okulanga osimbya layini okumala dakiika nga 3, ogenda okutuuka weekutuusiza ng'olina okutambulawo, ate abasirikale oluusi baba bakusanze n'obanyonnyola tebaagala kumanya.
Though some say border borders would be the best means of transport, they are, however, not expected to move beyond 6 p.m. Passengers, however, urge government to increase the number of buses like Pioneer Easy Bus to ease transport.
The Pioneer buses are charging us 2,500, but the taxis are charging us 4,000. So when you take a bus, you're saving 1,500.
Yesterday, sometimes 4,000, and here it's 2,500. That 1,500 that I managed to save can buy me portions, can buy me charcoal. Oh, somewhere here, but I do the management. Some people don't want to line up. So you find somebody, an old lady or 6 or 7 lines up. But these girls of your age, they just come and enter. And that really pisses up people.
I'm Navka Farida in Kampala.
Now, it's close to 6 days since the lockdown was partially lifted, with strict guidelines including observance of the SOPs and the dusk to dawn curfew. In this report, our reporters seek to find the reasons why many are unable to beat the 7 p.m. curfew time.
Now that the country is battling with a second wave of COVID-19, with the epicenter for spreading said to be the central business district, which seeming congested, many who operate business in Kampala are always caught on the wrong side of the law by the law enforcement agencies. As a method of reducing the heavy congestion in the city, Kampala Capital City Authority constructed the non-motorized transport corridor with the name of controlling traffic congestion. But that seems not to be working, since the non-motorized transport corridor is flooded with roadside traders, and this has even created more congestion than before. As curfew time approaches, there is a competition between pedestrians, roadside traders and hawkers making their way out of the city, and this creates more congestion. By the time police starts enforcing night curfew, many are caught between a hard rock and stone, forcing them to even sleep at the tax parks.
Neka tulinda bulinzi tulabe ekikolachi mukisawe gunatukako tusobola okugenda
tokaziweddeyo oyinzosula era bwezibula nsulamu ate mba ngenda kukolaki kuba eri kukuba bakwata okunkwata okuntwala okunsiba nsula mu paaka tuka wano ssaawa 11 kati zigenda mu ssaawa 2 tetunafuna ntambula ate bw'ofuluma ebweru bakukuba kibooko tolina oga nti kansobole okufuluma ebweru nfune emmotoka ennyongereyo.
This mother of 2 had traveled from Tungamo to Kampala heading to Mukono, but she's now stranded with no means of transport to take her back home.
So president na watu gereze
esawe emu kugala abantu bava wala bajje muki okujjeno nekatola okusokola mu kyalo na abaana abona omwana awo agenda kusula basawa zili.
It is 8:45 p.m. right now in the new tax park, but there is a handful of people still
stranded here because they have failed to get transport to take them back in their homes of residence. Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Thank you so much, Saddam, Bale and Kalisia, for that story. Indeed, it is very painful to still see people stranded and children in a taxi back. We pray that the president lifts up everything and we don't have a lockdown anymore. Thank you so much for watching UBC News tonight. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha Sanyanga with Mugali Mohammed on Sign Language. From the team and I, have a lovely night and a great weekend for you. We will leave you with a weather forecast by Kim Semba.
Western sector of the country, including parts of Arua, received some light isolated rainfall in the morning hours. However, in the afternoon, most parts of the country had cloudy conditions that eventually developed into some isolated rainfall across various parts of the country. I'm Sempa Alex Kim with the weather forecast from the Weather Center. By 9 a.m. this morning, some parts of the country reported rainfall, like Kasese reported 10.5 millimeters, while Kabale reported 7.3 millimeters of rainfall. And the satellite look over Africa shows there is an incoming of moist southeasterlies into a region that eventually will benefit us over the next few days. That will also take on the moist winds that are coming in also through the Congo forests into our region, meaning the western sector of the country will still benefit from that. In the morning, we do expect to see sunny intervals across the skies of most of the country, apart from a few areas along the Lake Victoria shoreline, as well as parts of Arua and Kasese, where light isolated rainfall is expected. But into the afternoon, we do expect a pickup of light isolated rainfall in most parts of the country. And because of this, we do expect temperatures to be a little bit cool. That is over the Lake Victoria shoreline, with Kampala at 26 degrees centigrade, whereas in Kabale Highlands at 25, and in Karamoja region at 32 degrees centigrade. And elsewhere across the globe, we are forecasting for London, Mombasa, as well as Paris, chances of thundering rainfall. But for Dubai, we do expect bright and sunny conditions at a daytime high of 44 degrees centigrade, and for Tokyo at 31 degrees centigrade. With that, we wrap it up. Stay tuned and join us again tomorrow, same time.